Today we're going to take a look at a new tool that's designed and going to be approved by AKRA for the purpose of checking lift at the top of the valve stem instead of on top of the retainer. With that being said, let's take a look at the tools that are involved in the program. We're going to take a look at the tool that has been designed for the purpose of checking lift at the tip of the valve stem instead of at the retainer. With that being said, this is your equipment that you're going to need. The dial indicator does not come with this package. So if you don't have one and you need one, you're going to need to buy one. And when you do, I need you to take this ball end off, and I'll show you why in a little bit, because I want that to be flat, okay? There's two plates that go on the engine, along with two push rods that sit on top of the valve stem itself. And notice there's a slot in each one of these push rods, and that slot actually travels on this pin to keep it perfectly aligned so that it's in true alignment to the valve stem and the valve itself. Also on these two push rods, I'll call them, the very ends of them have a machined surface. This one for the purpose of, notice how wide it is, sitting over the latch cap. And this one for the purpose, notice how narrow it is, of sitting right over the top of the valve stem. Okay? And of course your mounting bolts. With that being said, let's go to the engine. And the first thing that I want you to do is to make sure that the engine is at true top dead center, both valves closed on the compression stroke. And now what we're going to do is we're going to push down on the front of the rocker arm and rotate the back off. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Push down, lift up, and rotate. That exposes the latch cap and the tip of the valve stem on the intake side. The next step is I'm going to use the exhaust. I like to use a 10mm socket and slide right over the point, sit that down on, push it down, and move the rocker arm over into position so that the push rod is sitting in the back. I'm going to do the same exact thing over here on the intake side, put it on my little wrench, set it down, push it down, and move the rocker arm over in position. And now the little push rods, as we call them, are in position. The next thing we do is we're going to take our plate that has the little pins in it, and we're going to put those pins down over the push rods in those slots that we talked about. And that fits on there. The next one will be the dial indicator bracket with the two bolts that are going to go down through it. And we're going to set it right on top. Finger screw them in. Before I draw them down with a wrench, I'm going to rotate the engine vigorously through the cycle to let them align themselves. Stop at top dead center. Both valves closed. And draw them down. Okay. The reason I had you take the ball off the tip of this telescoping leg, because I want it to fit super flat flush against the push rod. I want my dial indicator to read as close to 12 o'clock as I can get it. I'm going to set the dial indicator to 0, snap it a couple times, make sure it keeps coming back to 0, rotate the engine through its cycle a couple times to make sure that it comes back to 0 each time. And remember, we're doing this, people, because we want to be accurate. Back up to top dead center. Okay. We are now ready to run this engine through its cycle to determine what the actual true lift on this system on the intake side is. How do I know that this is going to be accurate? I was sent all this equipment before it was built to do diagnostics onto it, and and the guy that built it had this part of the engine cut completely out and a dial indicator mounted underneath that valve, so that every time this read a number up here, it read the same exact number down there. That's how we know that this machine is accurate. Okay, here we go. We're going to rotate through in the direction that the engine runs. The exhaust valve is functioning. And lift has started. 50, 100, 150, 200, and 36. Oh, and incidentally, this is exactly the 11th time that I've checked this engine, and all 11 times it comes up with 236 thousandths lift. So there's no mistakes. And we're back to 0. You can actually move the dial indicator now over to the exhaust side. Do the same thing, run your check, make sure everything's legal. You can put 2 dial indicators in here if you want to and do them both at the same time. Kind of convenient, if you ask me. With that being said, if you're interested in this tool, AKRA, like I said, is going to approve the tool. There will be some more information coming out onto it. Pay attention to Bob's Force Cycle. I will keep everyone informed in regards to procedures and what's taking place with it. I think it's going to be a tool that is going to be very valuable to a lot of people. Welcome back. I told you we'd come back when there was some more information to give you, and I do have some more information. The information is twofold. We're going to talk to you about how to adjust the rocker arm for the proper lift while the tool is still set up, and then I'm going to tell you what the procedure for purchasing the tool and who to purchase the tool from is going to be. All right. First of all, let's say you want to, as a builder, adjust the rocker arm because you have too much lift. The simplest, the easiest way to do this is notice that the dial indicator is set on 0 with both valves closed and the piston at true top dead center. I'm going to remove the nut and locking nut on the push rod in question. And you'll notice that the dial indicator is moving as I loosen that nut. So however much that dial indicator moves, when you take this rocker arm off, and there it is, looks like, what is it, 55 thousandths, I believe it may have moved, and that's probably pretty accurate. I simply take the rocker arm off. I'll go to my machine and I'll file down that area because I want to lessen the lift. You can see where I filed on it before. So I want to lessen the lift. If I wanted to increase lift, I'd file back in here or grind, okay? You can put the rocker arm back on the assembly and lock it down. Now, here's the neat thing. We know that we went 55, 56,000, something there. I'm going to bring this engine right back to 0 with this tool. And I'll lock it down with the nut. I don't have that nut here right now, but I'll lock it down. And when you're locking it down, you'll see this change. So when you lock it down, you want to make sure when you got your final lock that your dial indicator is on 0. When you remove this equipment, you're going to find out that you have, if you already started with 1/1000 lash on that rocker arm to valve stem, you'll find out you still have 1/1000 lash. So not only is it a tech tool, but it's a really nice building tool as well. AKRA highly recommends this tool for usage. AKRA also told me to inform the public that in the event you get disqualified by the retainer, and there will be a list of people in the 2020 rulebook that will be allowed to make another decision, you can box that engine up that was disqualified by the retainer, follow the proper shipping procedures, and send it to whoever we identify, which is probably going to be yours truly, Dyno Don, the AKRA office, Bill McCutcheon, possibly Lewis Stout of Rick's Tech Tools. Those will be 3 key players right now that we know we're going to allow the public to send their motor to. And we will determine the legality of that engine by this tool. So it is highly recommended that we use this tool for tech. At the end of this video, we are going to put numbers on the screen. The tool is going to be marketed by Excalibur Carl. That's Carl Young of Excalibur Engines. And his 3 phone numbers will be on there. If you're interested in the tool, simply call the 3 numbers you're going to see on the screen, and you'll be able to purchase the tool. Thank you very much, and God bless.